Greetings, brothers, sisters, friends, and foes. It's Bill from Agape on the Streets, and we're starting another morning off, walking in faith, serving the Lord Jesus Christ. And this morning we're going to have a little, answering session. I'm going to go over some of the text and emails I get. I don't get a whole bunch, but I notice most of the ones I do get, it's kind of like the same few questions over and over. So I thought if I'd answer them here online, you guys would have this information out there and you kind of know what's going on. One thing I do take very seriously is I want to be transparent about what's going on, how things are going. I know I've been just begging. I've been begging, and I apologize for that. Last several videos, things are tight. They're super tight, and I gotta admit, I got a little scared there for a while. My health hitting at the same time with lots of other things, the car, a lot of vehicle stuff going on. And God's really put on my heart that He's got this, and I know He's got this, but as humans, we tend to just start yelling help. And the Lord's like, I already got you. You're right here in my hand. And I thank Him for that. We serve such an amazing, amazing God. But I wanted to set the record straight on a few things, because there's a few things here where I realize that people kind of have the wrong idea. And I got one here, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase this one because people are asking stuff right along the same thing. You're out there, you're asking for help serving in the streets, but you've been hanging out on Catalina Island for a long time. It kind of isn't that where all the rich people hang out. Well, yeah, there's some rich people here. I know quite a few of them, but on the other side, the church here is not rich. In fact, they were very, very much in the red for quite a long time, and things are working out now where they're getting back on their feet. But I've been here serving, and though they are paying me a little bit, it's nowhere even close to my regular rate. It's just enough to get by day to day here, and there is no place to put me. So no, I'm not staying in a nice motel room over here. I'm literally staying in the storage closet down at the church. We kind of converted into threw a little bed in there and making it work. And now that I'm dealing with my health, I've got a lot of health stuff going on, but God's taking care of it. Things are going well with my health, but it's going to be work. It's going to take some time. It's not easy to get through all this stuff because I have to run over to the mainland to go to a big hospital and then come back here. Every time I do that, it's over $100 just on the transportation alone. And then, of course, if I got to stay there, there's a room involved. I try to stay with friends when I can, but there's not a whole bunch of places we got over there to stay. People get busy. One of my friends that has been very good to help me out, he's going through some medical stuff with his wife. So I don't want to impose on them because they're going through it. So I'm going to just continue in faith, taking this day by day, because the church does need more help. I've been doing some more stuff around here. They don't really have a maintenance guy. They don't have a budget to be bringing in companies to do the maintenance. So we're trying to take care of this old 100-year-old building and get it to a point that the worship leader, Johnny, could just sustain it without it becoming an overwhelming job. So he can focus on being the worship leader and not on being, the guy that has to. His ministry is taking care of a building, pretty much. We don't want the building to be the focus here. We want it just to be a tool, a blessing, a place we can use to meet. And so that's been quite a job to turn that around, because this building could easily become the focus and could distract from real ministry. So it's been something that we do value your prayer on, and God's been using me here. Josie and Star are still in Arizona. They're plenty busy up there. They're dealing with family stuff, and we are still planning on meeting up there. There's a lot of stuff we have to do. I'm paying for storage up there, and it's stuff that's just sitting. We have to meet. We got to pray about this stuff, see if this is stuff that we're actually going to try to put into service or we're just going to get rid of. So keep that in prayer, because hopefully here in the next month or so I can get up there. I don't have a timeline for how long I'm going to be on Catalina anymore. I was saying another week and stuff, and don't really know anymore. One of the other questions that comes in here is, Uh, Dr. Berry, you say you serve out in the streets. I've seen some of the stuff and talked to some of the people who you've talked to, but I would really love to meet you, and there is so much need here in the streets where I live. And I'm not going to go in identifying all that, but yeah, that was our plan, literally to hit all the major cities, and that comes down to that funding thing again, and we can only do what we have the resources to do. We continue to pray for this. We hope that you guys out there want to bless us and get us the resources to get out there and reach more people. There's a big calling in the furry community, in the LGBTQ community. God is using us mightily within these little groups of people that the church really. I know they don't really understand those groups very well. They feel there's some fear there because they feel a bit threatened, and I understand that as well. I understand the church's side of it, but those two sides don't seem to come together very well. And God's been using us for that catalyst to get in there. A lot of you people have seen Josie's videos now and see that Josie's a great young man now. He's God's really just blessing his socks off. He's got a beautiful wife. They just got a beautiful little dog and cat, and they're out there doing it. They're living the dream, serving Christ, and just full of joy. It's really a blessing when I see that. They have their problems. It ain't perfect. They've definitely got their struggles, as we all do, and we all will. But there's purpose in their life, and they know why they get up in the morning. And that's what I pray for everyone, that there's purpose, that there's you've got that hope of Christ, and there's just this love that just fills you and it overflows. So that's our goal, is to introduce you to that love. What is agape love? What does real love look like? You've been talking about love all your life, but what is it? What is real love? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So that's a big part of our focus, and I know I'm rambling here this morning, but I just really want to connect with you people closer, and I want you to know that I care about you, and there's a lot of people out there that I care about that I can't get to right now, and I need support on that. So I want you to pray about it. I'm not going to sit and beg about these things anymore. God's going to take care of things. But he has called us as a body of believers, arms, legs, feet. Each one of us has his own ministry. And it's already been made very clear that most of your ministry is not going out there doing what I'm doing, because I don't see out there. And most people, I've had Christians literally off put by what I do. Like, how can you go out there and do that? Those people are disgusting. I mean, I've got some stuff that really kind of saddened me. But I get it. It's not your ministry. You don't understand it. It shakes you. It offends you. There's all these things going on. I want to be the solution to that. I want to be able to do two things here with that. One is reach those people because I love them and I care about them, and I know they're hurting and they're scared out there. There's a lot of fear and they need the love of Christ. But the other thing is to bring that to you from a safe distance where you can be introduced to what's really going on out there and why it's going on out there. You can understand the hearts of these people. I'm talking to you brothers and sisters that, from wherever you're at, you can come to understand where they're at. And then on the other side, I'm doing that in reverse. I'm not only teaching them the love of Christ, showing them and exhibiting that love to them, but I'm explaining why. Most of them believe the church hates them. And I see that. That is a very easy conclusion to make out there. I've had that in my own life. When I've been very needy out there in the middle of nowhere, people who've made a lot of promises to me in the church, and they've just turned their back. And boy, that's a scary thing. And there's young people out there that don't know Christ that are experiencing that. Many who have walked into a church and literally been turned away. I was with Josie when he first became interested in the Lord, hadn't accepted the Lord yet, but wanted to go to a church. And I brought him to a church that I had been going to on and off with some older people in Portland. And we walked in the door, and that pastor that was all cool with me because he had gotten to know me and knew my background, a lot of my audio and video skills. I think they wanted me to help them with a lot of things. And all of a sudden they see Josie. And they did not treat Josie very well. He got really just kind of turned down by the whole thing. It was pretty sad. So I've seen it right in front of me. And I'm like, what the heck? This isn't the love of Christ. This is a little country club. You're all comfortable here. And if anything looks a little different or so, it's push it away. That's not who we are as Christians. That should not be our hearts. So I'm trying to make a difference there. And it's a tough task. I could easily go get an engineering job somewhere and make a lot of money and just have a comfortable life. But I wouldn't be that comfortable because I know inside God's told me not to do that. Very clearly, He's told me to do this. He's told me to go out in the streets and reach people. And this is what I'm to do till He tells me otherwise. And it's not based on how I feel. It's not based on circumstances. If I'm in the streets, living in the gutter, that's not God telling me to go get a job and change necessarily. Unfortunately, it's how we read things as a Christian. It's only God speaking until it gets tough. And we forget to read our Bibles and look at what the disciples went through. God tells you to do something. You do it until He tells you not to do it. You don't base it on circumstances. There isn't an example of that in the Bible. There's an example of God speaking. Not, well, things got tough, so I ran the other way. The examples of that are called backsliding. And we do that easily as Christians. So I think we need to toughen up here, and we need to get busy for Jesus. So as I'm on this rant, let me get into some more of these here. Parson Bill. I love all the different titles, and you don't need to use them. I get kind of a kick out of them. Pastor Bill, Parson Bill, Brother Bill, Dr. Barry. Boy, I got a whole bunch. Bear Dad, there's a good one. Bear Dad. Some of you know I got involved with the furry fandom, and my fursona, which is kind of your costume and your personality behind that, is Dr. Barry. I started out as an engineering kind of a big teddy bear, and then had a lab coat. And that turned into more of kind of a psychologist type of doctor, I think. But and then I just have these father qualities. So a lot of these younger kids came in and kind of viewed me as kind of a dad type. So I started getting Daddy Bear, I mean, you name it. And you got to be a little careful because that gets into a sexual side, because that is a thing with what they call littles. And someday I'll do a video about all this stuff and explain some of this stuff to you guys, because we've got littles, we have ABDL, adult babies, diaper lovers, furries. Boy, it just goes, Murphers. And some of it gets pretty deep. But these are all people, and they all need love, and I get it. I know where they're coming from. I love them all. And I'm not going to run around being shocked and freaked out by this stuff. Okay, I've had some of it in my life. I get it. It's crazy stuff. We've been through a lot of stuff when we were young, and we need to be healed. We need the healing love of Christ. But this one goes on that says, I'm having serious issues with my parents. I feel that I'm stuck because if I go to move out, I will probably move out with some friends that I know are not a good influence. And besides that, my parents are not doing well. I help them a lot because they have a medical issue. They have a medical issue, so something they have together, I guess. I would love to find help in my area, and it states where this person lives. Is there a way you guys can help me, or could you come out here and maybe even meet with my parents and I? I would love someone that could just sit down, that understands where I'm coming from and maybe is more of my parents' generation, that could help this to all make sense. Well, that's my heart right there. I love that one right there. And I've been able to do that a few times. In fact, not long ago, I had a parent that what we call a pop fur, a very popular furry person, a young person that went through quite a bit. His dad died in front of him because of a drunk driver. Kid was just went through hell, and mom was barely hanging in there, trying to take care of him as he's growing older. And it came to a head. Drugs got involved, and mom finally threw her hands up and gave me a call and says, I'm losing it. And I was able to sit down with both of them and made sense of a lot of stuff that they weren't able to communicate to each other. And they're struggling. They're going through stuff still, but they're working it out now. They get it. Now they understand the whys, why it came to there. They understand they both care about each other, but, there's all this stuff. And I love sitting down and just exposing that stuff so they can see the truth behind it, because I don't think there's as much hate in this world as people think. It ain't hate. It's fear. People are scared. And when we get scared, we get desperate and we react very bizarrely. And then people get hurt, and they get hurt more, and they go, oh, you hate me. No, let's just work through the fear. Let's realize why each of us is so freaking scared. And it goes on both sides. Cops. Everyone's going on the cop, but cops are scared. The police out there, the ones with the guns, they're scared to death. I've talked to a bunch of cops. These people are scared. Fear, man. Fear is terrible. It's terrible. It's bad out there right now. I'm out in the streets, homeless, you name it. In fact, it's kind of funny because some of the most desperate people have the least amount of fear. They have nothing to fear anymore. They're through it, Some of these homeless people you see just nuts, crazy talking out there, and then they don't have fear anymore. They're just like, who cares? We're not even connected anymore. So from psychological viewpoint, we want to reconnect them. Then you reconnect them, and then the fear comes back. So that's where we need Jesus, because we don't want to just be crazy. We want to be connected. We want to be dealing in reality. But with the hope of Christ, we realize that he's in control, and he's got his hands on all this stuff. Praise God for that. Because, I'm one that I don't turn on the news anymore, but I go online and I go through news clips and stuff, and I've got a pretty good understanding what's going on out there, and it's pretty heavy. I see a lot of Christians even that we don't want to see it. We don't watch the news. And I go, well, how's that work? The Lord doesn't say be ignorant. He says be wise as serpents. We need to be wise. We need to be out there knowing what's going on. We don't want to overwhelm ourselves with it, but we need to be in the know. So, another thing to pray for. I've got a long prayer list for the church in America right now. I love you guys all very much. But we got to start realizing we're one body, and we got to come together and quit seeing the church as a comfortable place to go for us. It's where we go for others. It's others first. Focus is always on others, and God takes care of us, and we pour it out onto others. That's how it works as a Christian. Well, I could go on here for 2 or 3 hours. I love you guys. I pray God's blessing on you, that his agape love fills you to overflowing, and it just overflows out into others. Hey, go to our website, agapeonthestreets.com. Part of our solution to the begging for money here is I'd like to go work for it. And I put on our website, on Agape on the Streets, my DBL Pro Sound information. And I've talked to you guys about this before. I'd like to come to your church, any church that needs help with audio visual. We can do design. We can get you gear, new and used. We can refurb old gear. I do repairs. I've got an acoustical background. We can do an acoustical analysis of your room, make it sound better, deal with echo issues, intelligibility. We don't just do installation, but we do the sound and the lights. We can make the whole presentation better. And we've done experiments on this before. I was involved in the 90s with some large companies where we got into churches, and we basically watched the congregation through a message and watched people nodding off during the message, and it had to do with intelligibility. When we fixed the system, all of a sudden they would leave that service retaining the message better. There's a lot involved in sound and lights in the presentation. I think a lot of churches don't understand, and I want to help better the communication of the gospel of Christ. So give us a call, and we can come and we can train your people. If you have volunteers, we can come in there and we can make this a more worshipful experience for them. So they're not hanging by the seat of their pants barely operating this, but they can operate it well enough that their focus can be on the worship during service and operate it without any stress. I've run into a lot of volunteers that are just back there barely pulling it off, or they really have no idea what they're even doing. And it's literally the grace of God that things even running at all. So give us a call. Go to agapeonthestreets.com and you'll find the DBL Pro Sound stuff on there. And we'd love to come out there and bless your church. We want to serve. And we want to serve you guys. And then hopefully you can bless us. And we can take that resource and go out and serve Christ on the streets. God bless you all. Bye-bye.